Alright, hey guys, what's up? Let me give you a quick overview of my controller settings or how I play Tarkov with a controller. Just for some background, I played Arma for about a year or two on a DualSense Edge, and it's pretty great so far. For my controls, I didn't change much. This is probably wrong. I turned off smooth lean left and right, and then some other things like jumping. Let's see. I'm going to set it to a press, I think. And yep. So the menus are fully navigable with a controller. So like my left stick and right stick move my cursor, and I use for speed I use left stick just to quickly pan across the menu, and then for smaller, more precise movements I use right stick on the menus. Up and down on the D-pad will get me to scroll down. I have it set to a rapid fire function on the D-pads for mouse wheel up and down. In Steam input, you can't change the amount of steps that each individual scroll takes, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, there's some things that I did change, like the malfunctions clearing and all that stuff. If I can find it. Yeah, I set it to J and K instead of a combination key. Whenever you go through and set up your controls inside of Steam Input, setting up extra and subcommands can not only be confusing, but sometimes not work. Partially due to the fact that like games will have macro detection, and that's all Steam input is remapping software, and sometimes it's treated as if it's a macro. So combining like left alt and control, or alt plus left alt and all this other stuff, it was causing conflicts, because what I wanted it to do is combine two button presses into one with like right trigger when I would loot people, and I only wanted right trigger to like, let's say, quick loot something with one button press, like right trigger, and it immediately goes to my inventory. I couldn't do that. So I think there's some sort of macro detection. It doesn't trigger the anti-cheat, but this isn't for nefarious purposes or whatever. It's just making the game work on an input device that it was literally not made for. There's some things that I still need to bind, like these slot keys. Typically, what you could do is set it to a radial menu, and that would probably work really well. Changing weapons for me is a little bit awkward, like the sidearm quick swap. I think I disabled that on my laptop. I hop back and forth between the two, so I'm just going to bind this to something else, like melee attack, or mouse wheel down, I guess, because I pressed the controller button. Where's the Yuki? Here we go. Okay, no, I'm not going to save those binds. No, I don't want to save them. Anyway, yeah, so for inventory controls, again, D-pad up, down, and like I can unequip things with, like, I have it set up to where left trigger and right bumper will unequip things, and then right trigger plus right bumper will equip things. Left bumper is the left click. I'm sorry, the right click. Yeah, left bumper is right click, so that way you can get to the context menus and inspect things. But yeah, just like bringing a bunch of stuff like that, it's really simple. You can move pretty quickly with this if you get used to it. And of course, I think there's some room, like if I wanted to go in here and adjust my left stick sensitivity, because there is a lot of menu traversal. I have action sets set up, and by the way, this whole configuration is available on the Steam community inputs for EFT, Escape from Tarkov. So yeah, I have one set up for inventory, and it's an action layer. And on under global set and action sets, you want to set it to where if the cursor is shown, it automatically swaps to your inventory, and then when the cursor is hidden, you go back to default. And of course, like most other people, I have an aim down sight function, or an aim down sight layer, or I'm sorry, action set, and then a left alt function. On default here, if I hold down the left bumper, it'll get me to a new layer of inputs, a sort of, think of it like a tree branch of inputs, where it opens up new binds but replaces things momentarily, like your ABXY or the the front face buttons. You can rebind it to an entirely new function if you're holding down left bumper, right? If that makes sense, because you can't bind every single little thing to one input layer. Maybe you could through the use of the radial menus, which are really useful. I set one up. I haven't actually properly used it yet. It's on my trackpad for the DualSense, and I need to get that working, but that's just for the voice commands. But I think if you had the trackpad, the radio menus working, you could set you could probably set it up to where triangle here would open up a radio menu, and it would give you, your 1 through 0 keys, so that way you could swap weapons that way, instead of doing triangle, double YY to switch your weapons, kind of like how COD handles or whatever. If you are a controller player on Arma, and let's say you're coming from console or just simply Arma over to Tarkov to play it, it's pretty straightforward, because if you've had to do any rebinds in Arma, you know that you need layering, and Arma handles a lot of the layering on its own. But just gonna hop into a practice right here and show you guys what regular gameplay looks like. So if I hit left on the D-pad here, it opens up my menu, and I can look at all my stuff. I don't know if there's a hotkey to swap between these tabs right here. It'd be useful for health, but yeah. So left stick, sprint. I want to plot I don't know. I'm getting deep into the controls. On the overlay here, you're not going to be able to see my back paddles. So the DualSense Edge allows you to individually map your back paddles as if they were unique keys. Traditionally, they work as circle and X buttons or whatever. But for me, they just make me crouch, and if I hold it, you go prone, and my jump key is back here as well. So I set it up to where you have to hold it down to jump. Left trigger's aim down sight, and it does change, you can, it applies an input layer. That way you can individually change your sensitivity. If you think it's too low or too high, you can do that. I have gyro input enabled on left trigger. Gyro is really great and enables mouse control for your controller. So you get that little bit of extra precision, or for some people, if you want speed and precision, you can do that at the sacrifice of granular precision and accuracy. Not that big a deal, but yeah. Right bumper is interact, because you're going to be interacting with a lot of stuff, so I think you should just have it, readily available, if that makes sense. And it's the same with doors or whatever, but if you have a better key, set it up how you want. Unfortunately, there is no official controller support for this game, so you are going to be relying on people's custom configs and rebinds. Yes, it does take a lot of time. You got to sit there and learn it, but it's honestly not that bad, especially if you like tinkering with your settings very finely. So, right bumper hold is the free look function, and then double tap the right stick is melee, and then hold it to pull it out. Left stick sprint. I have my left stick set up to where if you press lightly on it, it sets the walking speed, right? But it's either highest or lowest. You can still adjust the walking speed with the D-pad up and down. I personally don't do that yet. I think that's a GameSense rich thing. People are able to better pace themselves based on how fast they want to move, or how fast they should move, and how much noise they want to make. So I think there's a fine balance there. Whenever I aim down sight, those back paddles that I mentioned earlier, where I crouch with them, it turns them into Q and E. So doing this, I don't lose control over making a peak or whatever, info peaks. That's a big thing in this game is like, if you stick your head out for too long, you are going to get popped. It's impossible to cover every angle. And so for new players, like I would consider myself new to this game in general. I've actually owned Tarkov for 10 years, and I only have on my old account that isn't on Steam. I had something like 100 hours total played, and I think most of that was sitting in the menus. So, unless it counts your in-game time, but either way, the game has changed so much that I don't know. So, yeah, I yap a lot, but like triangle swaps weapons for me, and to pull out a special weapon, so like a sniper or whatever, I just hold down triangle. Like I said, you could set it up to a radio menu. Like this would be the radio menu right here on the bottom left. I can't get it to work properly yet. So I'm sure there's a way, something that I'm doing wrong. Well, there is something that I'm doing wrong because I know I used to be able to get it working. I just haven't used them in so long. Other keybinds. Let's see. Yep, so that's what I'm missing, is reload a square. If I hold down square, it'll cycle around out of the bolt. And I don't think I have circle bound to anything yet. But if I hold down my left bumper, like I was saying earlier, it enables a new input layer. So I can then actually check out my gun and all this other stuff. So part of this is the malfunctions clearing stuff. And I think I had a hotkey, like I had something bound on here to drop my backpack. Shit. Not a good demo. Okay, well, I was so busy yapping that I forgot AI did spawn in. Alright, so let's go ahead and heal. But yeah, the game is very playable on controller, especially if you're using the gyro controls. My big thing is, like, I used to play on mouse and keyboard. I used to be a heavy in the Counter-Strike. I was very competitive, and more recently in CS2, like, I hit, well, by more recently I mean 2 years ago now, when CS2 launched, like, I hit 23k elo as a returning player, and prior to that, like, I hit global 3 times, or global on 3 different accounts, over a decade ago, or almost a decade ago now, like 8 years ago. Obviously not a pro player, but it's like, that's indicative of my skill on mouse and keyboard. Games like PUBG, I had a KD of something ridiculous like 3 or 4 in, with a 30% win rate at my peak season. So, if I played this game on mouse, I know I'd be pretty good, but again, it's like, I don't want to play on mouse anymore. That's just a me thing. I'd rather be comfortable, and that's why I started playing Arma with a controller. It's because I could just lay in bed and play on my TV or play on my laptop and not have to worry about being hunched over a mouse and keyboard. And I know that's important for some people. Yeah. So, back to the controls demo. Let's see, what does what? So, left bumper plus right stick click will pull out my frags, and I have them in my pockets right here. Oh shit. Fuck is shooting at me. Did I just underhand a grenade on myself? What the fuck did I do? Let's get some safety. See, I pull up the inventory, probably take painkillers. Is that what I need? No. Need a splint. Yeah, so the pause button hits the escape menu. I have multiple binds for the menus, so like D-pad left will open it, circle will close it, or your B button, Xbox equivalent. but the big thing is just being able to rebind, like knowing the initial keys, knowing the keyboard keys, and being able to rebind that. And again, this config is available publicly on the Steam community inputs, so that way if you want to use my config, you can. You know, some criticisms that I have of my own config right here is that I kind of forget the keybinds for like the left bumper alt stuff for things that I bound that aren't commonly done in Tarkov, like the malfunctions clearing, which it's pretty crazy to say, but a lot of my guns actually haven't been malfunctioning, so I haven't used them. So one thing that you may want to do to help save yourself a headache is just practice these keys in, you know, an offline or single player scenario. That way you don't have to do it mid gunfight, right? Because it did happen to me at one point mid raid, and I lived, but I was in a gunfight and I had a malfunction, and I had no idea how to clear it. And I had to reach over to my keyboard real quick. But I went back on my binds and, you know, did the J and K for the malfunction check and malfunction clearing in order to ensure that it worked. But you don't really want to put yourself in that scenario again, because it's like, it's not the game's fault that happened, it's literally my fault. And so you don't want this to be the same, you don't want to run into that same exact scenario. So, like, go in, get comfortable with your controls before you actually play a live game, because this game is like pretty sweaty if you're in a gunfight for one, and then other times, like, you're just getting shot in the back and you live somehow and you want to go heal up or hold an angle. You just want to be comfortable with the idea of being able to, like, push a gunfight and win it, or fall back and heal while still being able to defend yourself. And if you play with teammates, then it's especially true, because you don't want to be a hindrance to your team. Most people play this game on mouse and keyboard, so if your controls are fucked up, then it's literally on you, because you're on a controller, so nobody can tell you what the keybind is to what the controller bind is to fix your shit. So I don't know. I think I think that's a pretty good touch up on how I play Tarkov on controller. It's really not that much. Like, if you look in the Steam forums or Google in general, you'll see people talking about, like, oh, it's impossible to bind the game for controller keys, and oh shit. Yeah, look at this. This fucking overhead action. Let's go. Double tap square is to reload. I wonder if I'm gonna throw a grenade inside because of this. Nope. Let's go. I have my volume so low, so I don't know if there's somebody in here with us. And yes, even if it's one person viewing this video, he's in here with us, okay? It's not just me, it's us. Let's try and get a sniper kill. We gotta end the match with a no-scope or something. Something good. But yeah, I'm glad this game launched on Steam. There's definitely a hiccup that BSG had whenever they launched it on Steam first. I couldn't get into the game and play, and I know a lot of other people couldn't either, which is unfortunate. The thing that attracts me to this game is, like, the gun porn, and I know that's pretty much the same for everybody else. So, the guns look really good in this game. I like the environment art as well. The textures of everything and how they handle materials. It is nothing short of phenomenal. Obviously, the game could run a lot better. I'm on a pretty high-end computer, so it's not going to be an issue for me. I have a 9070 XT and a 7600 X30, but if you guys are on devices like the Steam Deck or whatever else, it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges. And namely, I think it's because of memory constraints with like Unity as a game engine. I think there are memory leaks that people run into. So if you have something like even on my laptop, it has 16 gigs of RAM. But you also want to ensure that your C drive, like your main storage drive, has ample room too. Because I think once you start running out of system RAM, it caches things in the C. Okay, yeah, that's a good spot to end the video. It caches stuff in your C drive, so there are some performance concerns. I think it's a pretty fun game. It's brutal, unforgiving, but I saw that there were some other controller players too, and it seems like the biggest thing with this game is not so much raw aim, but it is game knowledge. So that's part of learning the game. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, just leave them down in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them, or you can hit me up on Discord. But yep, y'all take care.